All right, we spent a lot of time on those two divisions, one being close to home for us in the NFC East, and then AFC North. Though I might not think is going to be as competitive, it is a very compelling division. A division I'm not that excited about, AFC South. We'll probably shave some time off the runtime that we have for the show with this one. Texans, Jaguars, Colts, and the Titans. The favorite, the Houston Texans, 15-1 to win the Lombardi Trophy, 9.5 win total. Last year, we're one of those teams that went worst to first.
Mm-hmm.
All right, CJ Stroud came in to George's point before. There's always a rookie that comes in and you're like, holy shit, he's a top 5 guy. Or at least it seems like it, right? And that's what CJ Stroud did last year. They're minus 200 to make the playoffs, plus 160 to miss the playoffs. I wanted to love the Texans. Around week 11 or 12 last year, I was like, yo, there's 2 teams, bro. I wish I could bet right now and give me odds on them right now for next year.
Mm-hmm.
It was Houston and it was the Packers. Both teams end up going to the Final Four in their conference. It fucked everything up because now they have a lot of hype and attention. They make the big trade for Stephon Diggs. Now you look at their roster, they have 3 legit wide receivers.
Mm-hmm.
They got a stud tight end in Schultz. And they bring in your boy Joe Mixon. And, of course, they got C.J. Stroud, right? They have they're tied for the 4th hardest schedule in the NFL. They will play the Jets, Lions, Cowboys, Dolphins, Chiefs, Ravens consecutively. With
really?
a bye week in between, yeah.
I didn't know
and
that.
they have like two division games in between the Dolphins and the Chiefs. And then they also play the Bills in week 5. Let's not forget, bro, there's something about this division. I'm not picking them to win the division. They barely beat Gardner Minshew and the Colts on the last day of the regular season to get in. And to me, they're a stay away. I rather not fall for the trap. I think they're they're the boner team this offseason.
Yep.
He went from 40-1 odds to now plus 900 to win MVP. That's CJ Stroud. And look, the division is
trash-ish.
Yeah, trash-ish. I like
adjacent.
That one. That's a
Trash adjacent for sure.
Trash adjacent.
Yeah.
They're not the 4th best team in the AFC and in the odds wise. So I'm fading the Texans. I don't have them making the playoffs. I have them going 9-8. And they are not a playoff team for me. George, thoughts?
Man, we've been like pretty on the nose here with the way that we think these things are going to shake out. I think they are a 9-8 team because of all the difficulty aligning in their schedule. Let's talk about Stephon Diggs. Sometimes when receivers, especially pretty good receivers, are added to teams, you're like, okay, this is going to help bolster that offensive production. What happens when you add a person that is going to garner a lot of attention on an offense that's already stable? You know, like the Texans weren't hurting for, in my opinion, another receiver to throw to. It's already been some of the things that the beat writers are talking about as far as, is Stephon Diggs going to come in and demand the ball from CJ Stroud, and how does the young kid handle that?
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily, believe too much of what I heard come out of Buffalo. You know what I mean? Because Buffalo fans and all the players kept their mouth shut when he was doing what he was supposed to in those first couple of years. Maybe he did rub people wrong at the end. But Stephon Diggs is also 31 years old. And so, like, I don't think that this is an addition that, makes their odds jump drastically. Their defense is going to be insanely good. I really think this is a type of year that if Will Anderson, comes out and is at TJ Watt levels of playing D end, he can really cement himself in that upper tier of edge rushers. They definitely got a huge addition with Danielle Hunter, but my biggest concern is they have an embarrassment of riches. It's a good problem to have, but at the same time, sophomore year, there's more tape out on CJ Stroud. I'm expecting them to go 9-8 at max, but to be honest, I think they're a 7-10 type of team.
And also you got to remember last year they benefited from a last place schedule, surprising everybody.
Exactly.
Now you're playing
The
the
big
Chiefs
dogs.
and the Ravens and the Bills and these teams that we mentioned.
Yeah.
And now it's like, it's not just the Texans. Oh, damn, we're down, right? Like they beat the Bengals last year too.
Mhm.
And I'm pretty sure Joe Burrow was the quarterback for that one
Yep.
too.
Yep.
So yeah, they call people by surprise. And to me, the team that I like is the team that we loved last year around this time. It's Jacksonville. Do you feel the same way? Is that why you're smirking?
Well, so
okay, tell me about the Jaguars.
Yeah. So quickly, I'm not as down on them as both of you guys
we didn't
are.
even give you a chance.
It's
My
okay.
fault.
It's all right.
Yeah, go
I'm gonna go quick. I've got the Jags and the Texans both at 11-6, but I have the Jags winning the tiebreaker.
Okay.
I have them kind of popping back up. As far as the Texans go, right to your point, last year, surprise. Hey, we had the number 2 pick. You acquired all this youth and all this talent. DeMeco Ryans was brand new. But at the same time, you've got to play the big dogs this year. I think that they will be competitive, but I don't think that they're taking that next step. Stephon Diggs did not look good last year. Now in a situation now he's playing inside. It's not cold. We'll see if that helps rejuvenate him. But yeah, I don't have them winning the division. But I do have them still being a viable threat.
The Jaguars have a win total of 8.5. They're 45-1 to win the Super Bowl. And I think this team, of any team that we're going to break down, recency bias is a motherfucker. With the combination of the one team in their division that everyone's on, and now them that everyone is off. Bro, they were 8-3 last year.
Yep.
Until this guy
Ruined it.
put him on the thumbnail, and I had a video to get like 180,000 views being like, yo, how come no one respects the Jaguars, bro? They're 8-3. And then they lost by 4 touchdowns to the Niners. I think I put them in circa too. They were like a 3-point underdog. That shit was awful. It was one of the worst takes of all time. But dude, they were 8-3, and then Trevor Lawrence got a little banged up and everything just spiraled out of control. And the entire perception of this division changes if that don't happen. And they won 2 games in their last 10 weeks. And it's because he got hurt. The same thing we said about Burrow, right?
Yeah.
Like, the handicap for the Bengals, it's simple. They didn't have their quarterback last year. They'll have him this year, and they're playing the last place schedule. So sometimes it's that simple.
Yeah.
And I think the Jaguars, it's the recency bias, right? We loved them last year. They're coming off that monster win, the comeback, and then they played the Chiefs tight in the divisional round.
Yep.
And then shit just spiraled. I think that's the team to bet in the division. You can get them at plus 280 to win the South. Don't bet them to make the playoffs, because if they're going to make the playoffs, I think they have to win the division. It's the same concept I said a couple of years back when we gave them out at 9-1 as opposed to plus 350 to win to make the playoffs. You're like, yo, they're not going to have 2 teams in the division make the playoffs. It was so bad. And that's kind of where I'm at, man. I think they addressed a couple things in the offseason. I wish they would have kept Calvin Ridley, but they got Gabe Davis. I don't
think Calvin Ridley produced as much as we thought he would, though.
That's
I think
fair.
it was just a perception thing.
And
we
also,
thought Calvin Ridley was supposed to pop
and they
off.
drafted Brian Thomas out of LSU.
Yeah.
Who, if you know anything about LSU wide receivers, dude's probably going to have a spot on your fantasy team by next year. Right? Like,
and
they
a
just
picture on a yacht in the next 6 months.
Come on, man. Why'd you have to do that?
Because
you had to go there.
Oh,
It hurts. It's a sensitive subject. Right? Timberlands in Miami. What's more New York than that? I got the Jaguars at 10-7, and I think they win the division. And I think, Trevor, you said it before about Joe Burrow getting paid last year, and he didn't want to let his teammates down. You know who's the richest quarterback in the league right now? Old Sunshine in Jacksonville.
Yeah.
So you gotta, now there's expectations. So I'm on them bouncing back. And you know what? If they don't bounce back and he don't play well, you're now not that guy that we thought you were.
Yeah.
You're like, our perception of you is just gonna lessen, and you're in that like
Kyler Murray territory.
Yeah, that's a good one. Like, you're around there.
Mhm.
Yeah. You're like in the teens.
Yeah.
You're not a top 5 to 10 guy.
Great quarterback, overpaid.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. Colts, George. Thoughts?
Thoughts on our Colts here? Well,
Whoa, what do you mean R?
I don't know about the R.
well, I mean, I don't know. I'm just saying that maybe there's a Colts fan out there and they're like, dude, my man, you all right? So up front, you guys are going to be kick ass again. Like their offensive line and their defensive line represent what the NFL needs to win games. Like you got to have stability up there, but now you have to also look at who your quarterback is. And when you're relying on Anthony Richardson's 3-game highlight tape, you are, kind of handcuffed. So I'm not expecting much out of Anthony Richardson. I mean, you got Joe Flacco in there, and then you could possibly even see Sam Ehlinger. I think you will see all three this year for the Colts.
You know how much I hate Flacco being the backup there?
How much?
It makes no sense. Like the play style.
Yeah.
If I have a running quarterback, I want a running backup quarterback.
Yes.
Yeah.
Remember when Flacco was the starter and then Lamar came in and then everyone was like, yo, the offense
Can't
was
go
in
back.
shambles.
Can't go back.
Yeah, but the offense was in shambles because we built it for a dude that runs a 9.8 40 as opposed to Lamar Jackson. And the whole offense changed. So it's like having a pocket passer to now you have a scrambler.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably different philosophy.
Different team. And remember, the second it was Lamar's team, who did they bring in? RG3. And then that was his backup.
That was perfect.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, and same thing with my Commanders right now. Jaden Daniels has Marcus Mariota behind him.
Yeah.
So it's like you want at least that second guy to be similar to the main guy.
100%.
No, that's 100% right on the money.
So, yeah, I just wanted to mention
I mean,
that
the
about
only
Flacco.
reason they did that is because they're like, man, what if we're like the Browns next year and we need a little Flacco magic? And I get what you're saying, but offensive coordinators have different playbooks for each quarterback. Like, I mean, you're talking about a playbook that is 200 pages deep. And yeah, they lose read options when you bring in Joe Flacco, but there's honestly probably a lot of passing concept things that Joe Flacco can do that they don't even want to go near with Anthony Richardson. Too complicated.
Sure.
But it doesn't matter. The Colts are the sheet this year. They're going to be 5-12. I think they have a really tough schedule. Based on what I see, I think they'll have a lot of success up front, but everything outside of that is going to be very bad. And does that win you one possession games? Maybe. But I don't see him winning over 7 games. That's for sure.
Yeah, they have top 3 offensive line. Tackles are top 8 on PFF. Again, I usually dump on PFF. I don't like a lot of their work, but I do like when they give you offensive line rankings because I'm going to be honest, George, I can't properly grade what a right guard does.
Yeah, bro. I mean,
It's, I'm
yeah.
I'm not really always
You
looking
stay
at that.
just looking at those 20-yard outs that those quarterbacks throw at the
I got
combine.
to see if they can compare it to the boy,
Yeah.
I got to see. Or how I compare it to them, That's all. So, yeah, that is where my mind
That was
goes.
a tee up if I've ever seen it in my life.
That was good.
The lob was up here.
Nah, but yo, for real, like I think tackles is a lot easier for the eye test for you to watch a tackle, right? It's like 3rd and 8. You're like, oh shit, Nick Bosa's on that side. How's he gonna do against Slater on the Chargers?
Yeah.
Right. But like guards is different.
Guards,
and
I pay
centers.
attention more to how you get to the second level. How you if we're pulling, pin and pull. If you're getting out on the edge, how quickly are you getting out there? Are you being destructive when you get out there? I mean those are but to your point, yeah, you're 100% right. If you're an 80 grade on PFF, I'm making sure that you're at least an 83 and above on Madden. That's how I'm looking at it.
And,
Yeah, pretty much.
Remember, Jonathan Taylor now fully healthy. Last year he was kind of holding out because of the contract.
That's right.
And I like some of their weapons, dude. Alec Pierce, I think, is a nice slot wide receiver. Pittman, Mitchell that they drafted. You got Josh Downs for like home run threats. And if you're just good in the trenches, they have a top 10 D line also. They don't get as many sacks, but quarterback hits.
Yeah.
I always talk about Olivier Vernon when the Giants signed him. Everyone's like, yo, you gave him all this money, but he only had 7 sacks. It's like, yeah, but he had like 100 QB hits. It's just as good.
Yeah.
Pressure on the quarterback. And that's what their D line could do. They could rush the passer. The sack total might not be there, but it's like they're putting pressure. And I think you're good on both sides of the trenches. You
Yep.
could be a good team. I think their win totals at 8.5. I have them at 8 wins. 8-9, 9-8. kind of coin flip game goes one way or another. That's kind of where I think the Colts end up.
Yeah,
and I'll be completely honest about the Titans. George, look at my notes. What do I have on the Titans?
Is that nothing?
There's nothing.
Wow.
I have nothing on the
Nick,
Titans.
you said you prepared for the show.
I did. But
he did.
For them, I'm just not. I think they're a 3-14 team. I think D Hop does not end up staying there. He's a good candidate to be like, oh, the Chargers are 7-3. Maybe they could use a receiver. Tennessee is 1-8. Make a trade, right? Like, think about what they did in the offseason. Got rid of the head coach, rid of the quarterback, rid of the face of the franchise and Derrick Henry.
Yep.
It's a complete rebuild.
Yeah.
And your best player is Jeffrey Simmons. He's a defensive tackle.
Not good. And not even an A1 defensive tackle.
And how about this? You don't re-sign A.J. Brown because you don't want to pay a wide receiver. And then you pay Calvin Ridley, who the fact it's not being investigated that the Titans were 18-1 to land him, and then he signs with the Titans with his gambling background. He is one of us, George.
Yeah.
I just think it's a little crazy, bro. That's all. It's just a little suspect.
I remember when you said when that happened, that was like, oh, that was something to maybe take a look at. I've got the Colts at 9-8. They were 9-8 last year. I think Anthony Richardson looks good, but this is essentially his rookie season. So, so there's going to be some growing pains. He's going to both wow and frustrate, I feel like at times. But I think that he will showcase enough that they will start to continue to put some pieces around him. I've got the Titans at 2-15. So they are the dumpster fire that we think they are.
They're favored in 2 of the 17 games.
Yeah. And that's right now. Like
this is my shock team for you guys out of all the divisions. I think the Titans go 7-10, and I'll tell you one reason why. I think they made an emphasis on the offensive line. I don't think there's anything cooler than Brian Callahan getting the head coaching job and then hiring his dad as the best offensive line coach coming from the Browns. They draft one of the best tackles. I think this is a team that, they realized when they were going through the Vrabel days, we eventually got to focus on this offensive side and figuring out offensive line. I think they did that. And I think it's going to help them out so much that they win a good deal of games. And I also think that their secondary is really good too. I think, L'Jarius Sneed from KC brings just nth degree of veteran experience to a secondary that wasn't too bad to begin with. So they have offensive players that we feel confident in. Is it the Will Levis? Is it the Will Levis?
Yeah. A lot of Will Levis and a little bit of Malik Willis.
I just think that they can scheme up something, or I pray to God that they can scheme up something to get playmakers the ball and let them do what they need to do. I think this team does a lot better than you two are saying they do.
Okay.
7-10 for me.
Okay. Strongly disagree. And we will see how things play out.
Okay.
Jaguars winning the division. Colts in second. Sorry. Jaguars winning the division. Texans in second. Colts in third. Titans in contention to have the number 1 pick at 2-15.
Yep.
I got Jaguars at 11-6 winning it. Texans at 9-8. Titans at 7-10. Colts at 5-12.
Yep. I had Jags, Texans both 11-6, Colts 9-8, and Titans 2-15.
All right.
I can't wait for this one to hit, dude.
Let's stay in the South.
Yes.
Let's stay in the South.
I was hoping that.
NFC South. Panthers, Falcons, Bucks, and Saints. I think last year you picked the Bucks, right?
No. Well, last year I said the Bucks were going to do like better than what people were saying that they were going to do. I still had the Saints going 13-4, dude. We were like literally.
Oh my God, worst takes ever.
I was like, no, he did not pick them.
Derek Carr's so good, fucking so bad, bro. We sound like idiots.
That was
No.
So good.
Joshua called. I called everyone's bluff on that one. Was like, you guys are crazy.
Man, I fell for the trap. They had so many games at home, so many games
inside.
in the dome.
Yeah.
And you know what's crazy? A lot of it applies to this year too, because the Falcons too. The Falcons play 14 of the 17 games
Inside.
They call it controlled environment. So I think one of the outdoor games is like
half dome.
No, it's an outdoor game, but it's like Carolina in September or some shit. It's something like that.
Oh,
Where like last year the Saints played Green Bay, but they played them like early in the season. Where it wasn't going to be minus 12 degrees.
Sure.
So that's kind of the same thing with the Falcons. I think we should start with the Falcons. 9.5 win total, 26-1 odds to win the Super Bowl. I felt a lot different about them when I first started putting together my notes, because I had here their defense is the Achilles heel, and then they add Simmons and Judon.
Sorry, Achilles heel. That was you did that on purpose, or maybe
I did not even realize that until you mentioned that now. Wow. Okay. Yeah. And speaking of the Achilles heel, they add Kirk Cousins, right? They have a top 10 offensive line. They've spent a lot of money to keep that offensive line together, but they have like a bottom 5 D line. Josh, you know when the last time they had a guy have 10 or more sacks in a season was?
Probably 2017.
I know the player.
Very close. Who's the player?
Vic Beasley.
Vic Beasley, bro.
He was tough.
When was it?
I think
the year they went to the Super Bowl in 2016. Yeah.
2016.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why I said you were close.
Okay.
Look, I think that this was the best available job any coach could take.
I remember you saying
Remember
that.
I was talking about that?
Yeah, I remember you
I
saying
was
that.
like, bro, look at it. They got a stud running back, stud wide receiver, offensive line is good,
Stud tight end.
stud tight end. Well, we're waiting. That's why I didn't want to.
Potentially stud tight end.
Yeah. Weak division, right?
Yeah.
You don't have a Mahomes, you don't have a Burrow, you don't have a Allen you got to go through.
Yeah.
There's no Jordan Love or Dak and Jalen.
Young guy in the wings that's
There's
like,
no one.
Yeah.
There's no one.
Great fan base.
Sure, yeah. They did have to great fan base that they had to pump crowd noise into the stadium that one time, and they lost a draft pick. So yeah, great.
It is a great fan base. I will say that.
So Kirk Cousins comes in, and they just paid AJ Terrell. I think he's a very good corner that a lot of people don't talk about. And everybody's like, this is the shoe-in team to win the division. And I kind of don't trust that. I don't trust that.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen this year in and year out. The NFC South beats up on each other worse than just about any other division in football. It always is a battle at the end of the season. Which team is going to go 500, barely go 500, and win the division? I think it's the same thing on repeat every single year. And it all really depends for the Falcons, like on who are they playing outside of the division. And when you start off versus Pittsburgh, then you go on the road Eagles, and then you host the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, that is just about as tough as it can get before you play the NFC South, and you know the type of rivalries that come in that. I think you see a lot of split games. I definitely think they have a winning season. I see them going 9-8. But early on, it's going to appear like, man, these Falcons suck. And, can they weather the storm early to then produce and steal a spot at the end? That's where I have them at.
You have them at well, not you. You said that their 8.5 is the win total.
9.5.
9.5. Oh, that's definitely not happening. I have them at 8 and 9. I think they definitely made a mistake with Penix. I mean that's going to put pressure on Cousins that didn't need to be there. Because you got to remember, he got hurt mid-season, so that Achilles is not right.
Yeah, he got hurt in November.
Yeah,
Rodgers got hurt September.
No. Oh, yes. Because it was game 1. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. The Achilles is not going to be something that he just bounces back from, especially at this age, just like Aaron Rodgers. I don't. I see them being a solid team in that division, but I still don't see them getting to that next point. They definitely needed more people at that spot that they could have had than drafting Michael Penix, who was going to drop probably till mid first round, early second round.
You know what's crazy? You could say that for like 4 of the last 5 first round picks they've made. Kyle Pitts,
yeah,
Bijan Robinson,
yeah,
Michael Penix. It's like, bro, those are picks you make when you have a roster like the Niners.
yes.
When you have a roster like the Ravens.
Yep.
That's when you make picks.
When
like
you
that.
can reach and still be right. Like, it's like, well, if we get it right, we get it right. If we get it wrong, it's like, oh, well, we get it wrong.
Yeah. I think they go for like the Showtime aspect of it. Like, you know what I mean? Like they're just trying to bring flash. But championships are won in places where there isn't a lot of flash.
That's right.
And, they addressed the major position. Like, how do you not go with an edge rusher in the draft?
And that's what you need,
Like,
or another corner
Yeah,
to back up AJ Terrell. They still have legitimate holes in that team, and to get a quarterback that may or may not see the field this year was not the move. But yeah,
They're 9-8 for me.
Is this your division winner for anyone?
No.
No, so you guys don't have the Falcons.
No.
Mm-mm.
Oh, okay. I don't either.
There's only one team that it can be.
What team is it?
Tampa Bay.
You think it's Tampa Bay?
Tampa Bay. Baker plays solid. They still have the best roster in the division. They have the best roster in the division, and probably, barring Kirk Cousins looking solid, the best quarterback in the division in Baker. Everybody else, try and figure it out.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like, there's no more middle of the road team than the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Like, they are just
solid,
right there, all around. They're gonna be competitive. They are literally built for the NFC South, and I just see them losing out this year. I don't know what the stat is, like how it is with the NFC, where there hasn't been a repeat winner. But this is also a very volatile division where it seems like every year there's a team that shocks you and surprises you. So they're not that team for me this year. I have them going 7-10.
Oh,
okay. Yeah, I don't like that they lost their offensive coordinator because Canales left, and Baker had a career year with him.
Yeah.
And now you lose the OC. We see a drop. There's always a drop off when you lose your OC.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's going to play into it. I think now they're playing a first place schedule. The roster, though it is the best in the division, it's also old.
Yes.
Pretty old roster.
Yeah, it's not young.
And it got old quick because when Brady got there, it was like, oh, this is a young team.
Yeah.
And now it's
been 5 years.
Yeah. Now they're a lot older. And I don't see it. Baker, I can't count on it. I can't go into a year thinking Baker is gonna do that. Dave Canales left. He went to the Carolina Panthers. And my second big take of this podcast is the Carolina Panthers are gonna win this division.
Boom! Sound effects.
Carolina Panthers with a 5.5 win total. They are 250-1 to win the Super Bowl. Right? Only the New England Patriots have worse odds to win. All right, just hear me out, because I know already people are like, holy shit, this kid is hammered. This is a terrible take. In the last 25 years, if you look at luck rankings per Action Network, only 3 teams had worse luck than them last year. A lot of rookie mistakes by Bryce Young. At one point, I was like, yeah, he might be point shaving. Nowadays, it's serious
accusation. That's a very dangerous, explosive accusation.
Just be very careful. But some of it, and staying in the division. Remember, we were calling Desmond Ritter.
Yeah. Desmond Ritter did.
Desmond Ritter fumbled inside the 5 like 9 times. It was like, yo. And then you look at the line, you're like, damn, this was only a 3-point line. Maybe that's why he's doing it.
Yeah. You definitely could cue up the Rick Ross meme right now on the accusation. False accusation.
Canales leaves. You saw what he did for Baker. What if he does that for Bryce Young, right? The floor is, he's so at the bottom, Bryce Young right now. It's bad, right? And let's not forget, they beat the Texans last year.
Yeah, they did.
And everyone's dick riding the Texans this year. And I know it's a 1-game thing, and I remember that was one of my like circa picks, because I was like, yo, they hadn't won at that time. And it was all the hype about CJ. And I was like, yo,
Yep.
I think they rally behind Bryce for this one. And that's what happened. I think that Canales, you see the first year head coach, it's that boost. I think if there is a worst to first contender, they kind of check a lot of boxes, man. Everyone's so down on them. They get rid of Brian Burns. They're like, oh shit, they're selling the farm.
Yeah.
And I think that, 15-1 to win this division, where there's a lot of question marks with everyone else in the division. And look at the teams that you might be betting on: a Kirk Cousins and a Baker Mayfield. I'll take 15-1 with Bryce Young. And they get Xavier Legette. They drafted.
Ooh, the most country boy in the country, apparently.
Jonathan Brooks. They also get Deontay Johnson, right? They have Adam Thielen, who last year was putting up some big numbers for his age and what they were asking him to do. And it's the new head coach theory. Carolina. They are the team I'm picking to win the division, and I bet them to win their division. Mind you, I got them at 8-9.
Yeah.
But
no, it's very doable.
Yeah,
in the NFC South.
I got them at 8-9.
That's a winning record.
I got them at 8-9.
Yeah.
And
that's not inflammatory.
And I think they win the division. And I think there's a lot of pressure on Dave Canales. There's a lot of pressure on him to save Bryce Young. We were talking about it before, how bad that trade could look. If he comes out, let's just say hypothetical, he comes out, they go 10-7, and he has like 3,800 passing yards, 20 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. The team is good. They win the division. Even if Caleb goes crazy, he has a CJ Stroud year. So at least you can have a defense for that trade. But if he don't, he gets benched for Andy Dalton again, this is like one of the worst trades in sports history. So I think Bryce Young, with this guy, Dave Canales, as a head coach, I think he's going to be able to make wonders. Bro, he turned Geno Smith's career around. And Baker. Why can't he do it with Bryce? Number 1 pick. Yeah. I'm going with Carolina, 8-9 to win the division.
Wow.
Yeah.
There's a lot of analysis. I'm not going to lie. It was solid.
I mean, to me...
Listen, the takes are outrageous, but it's not just...
you're not just throwing it up.
I'm bringing some sauce to this.
Yeah, I think... as opposed to the Titans, who made a concerted effort to say, we want to win up front, this team is the exact same as the Titans, except they regressed at positions that matter the most. And offensive line, I really don't see it. And then when you literally give away the man that was keeping you in games, congratulations to your Giants for figuring it out and snatching them. I mean, as a head coach, Dave Canales cannot be fired after this year, no matter how bad it goes, because this team is that plagued at all positions at the front office. It's probably a 5 to 6 year process to get this ship back on track. To me, this is a year where if they can scrape out 2 wins like how they did last year, and I have them, I do have them beating the Giants week 10, and then I have them beating the Arizona Cardinals week 16. I think those 2 I can pencil in as like, all right, it's been, 0-9 up to this point. We got to do something. But that's where I have them. And I would love to be proven wrong, but I just think Bryce Young, I don't think he's got the intangibles, man.
That's fair.
I don't think he's got the sauce that I've seen other rookie quarterbacks have where, I can at least rely on a 3rd and 12 that you're going to scramble out of the pocket and get a first down. I didn't see that with him a whole lot last year.
Listen, bro, one thing about Bryce Young, he's my height.
I think he's shorter.
He might be. And look, I know girls are like, we need a guy that's 6 foot. I need my quarterback over 6 feet. So I feel the ladies that are like, listen, I need 6 feet. I get it, bro. If I was your franchise quarterback, though I do throw a great 20-yard out, I'd be a little worried.
We're in trouble.
We're in trouble. Now, I think to what you're saying with the Saints, I agree with you. I'm not that high on them. I have them as a 5-win team. The Panthers play is more of a fade on everyone else than it is a play on the Panthers. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
It's like I'm only playing the Panthers because I'm fading everyone else in that division. I'm not high on everyone else in that division. So That's why I got the Panthers at 8-9. I got the Falcons at 7-10. I got the Bucks at 5-12, and I got the Saints at 5-12. 15-1 odds to win the NFC South. Carolina Panthers.
I've got Tampa at 10-7, Atlanta at 8-9, the Saints at 6-11, and Carolina at 3-14.
George.
I got. Give me 1 second here to go over to this. I got my Saints winning the division at 10-7. I got the Falcons coming in at 9-8 in second. Buccaneers 7-10 in third, and then the Panthers 2-15. The one thing I wanted to note on the Saints before we switch off here is they have a really rugged first half of the season. I'm expecting Dennis Allen to be fired by week 7. I literally think the Saints win the division after starting 1-6. I know it's never been done before. Crazy take. I think the Saints need new scenery, and I think the way that the schedule is set up, I mean, it's gauntlets, Cowboys, Eagles, Atlanta, KC, Tampa. I think we lose a good deal of those. The Saints are like, we got a clean house, and then the second half of the year is actually a pretty favorable schedule for us. So that's how I came to that conclusion. Will Derek Carr be the starting quarterback for us? I don't know. Maybe we get Spencer Rattler in there. A little light skin love.